The Jacksonville Jaguars on the road at the Kansas City Chiefs. We are sitting right now 9.5 in favor of the Chiefs at home, a total anywhere between 50.5 and 51. What are we getting in the Jacksonville Jaguars? Is it anything like we saw last week, or is it what we've seen for the majority of the season? One of the more confusing teams, one of the more disappointing teams for me on the year. That said, they could have tucked their tail between their legs last week. They chose not to, and a lot of fight and a big win out of all of that. Adam, when we look at this game, the Chiefs, while still in everybody's top three in their power ratings, and I'm sure there's probably some people out there that even have them number one, did kind of look vulnerable last week. And, everybody did. We've seen the Bills, we've seen them. Like, it's basically everybody but the Eagles that have looked, incredibly vulnerable at some point throughout the course of the season. And so I guess my question in this is do you believe what we saw last week out of the Jags? And if so, wouldn't 9.5 be too many points? Or do you think that was a mirage and the Kansas City Chiefs just easily take care of business here?
I don't think anything's a mirage in terms of what we saw with Jacksonville because of the fact that we've seen Jacksonville consistently move the football at various times this year. Now, the question is going to be, how aggressive does the Kansas City defense get in pressuring Trevor Lawrence? Because you've seen for most of the season that if you can get some pressure to Trevor Lawrence, that you're probably going to have some success in throwing him off. They also ran the ball very well last week, did the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, let's talk about Kansas City for a second, because the Chiefs offense has not shown you outside of a couple of weeks that is truly going to blow people off the field. But of course, when it does, we're all reminded that they can. And so we saw it against San Francisco. We saw it early against Arizona. We know that that capability is in there. Am I willing to lay 9.5 to find out? No, I'm not. Do I trust Trevor Lawrence on the road enough to take the 9.5? No, it's a pass for me.
Steven, we've got, I think we have a bet here from you in this one, and I think you are buying at least a little bit into what you saw last week. That being said, you have been higher on the Jags than most people have throughout the course of the season, despite the struggles that we have seen on the field at times.
It's burned me a couple times, but not last week, Matt. We got one. We got one against the Raiders. I just keep going back to this team, and I think that this team is better than their record. I think they've had some bad luck. And if you look at the matchup on paper here, I think it's actually a really good matchup against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. They're number 11 on offense, and the Chiefs are number 23 in terms of DVOA. If you look at EPA, it's the number 10 Jags offense versus the number 21 Chiefs defense. And if you look at success rate, the number 6 Jacksonville offense against the number 22 Kansas City defense. You also are looking at an offensive line that is number 7 in the league for Jacksonville in pressure allowed, despite the poor offensive line win rate metrics, which is telling me that Trevor Lawrence is doing a good job of getting the ball out of his hands quickly, and that should mitigate a Chiefs top 10 blitz rate defense here. So my big concern here is the type of defense that Trevor Lawrence may face in this game, because if you look at his metrics against zone defense and then against man defense, they are more stark than any quarterback in the NFL. He is number 29 in completion percentage and number 30 in passer rating against man defense. And he's number 11 in completion percentage and number 9 in passer rating against zone defense. And the Chiefs defense has steadily increased its rate of man defense every week since week 5. They played the most it's played all season last week against the Titans. That being said, they still played zone on 54% of the snaps. So Trevor Lawrence should still have his opportunities. It's not like we're looking at a complete man defense here for the Chiefs. So that is my concern, that he's really bad against that man defense. But we're also talking about a number of 9.5 here. So I did not bet it yet because I don't think there's any risk in waiting to try and get a 10 on this to see if it goes back to 10. If it goes back to 9, I didn't lose anything. So just waiting to see the best of the number, but I will be betting on Jacksonville to cover the spread this week.
Yeah, I put it this way. It'd be a dog or pass for me in this one. I think there is a path to Jacksonville being a little tricky for Kansas City in this thing. And of course, if Jacksonville's defense can finally put just 4 quarters together, 2 games in a row. I mean, that's one of the problems we've seen with them, right? It's like the defense will play a good game and then they play a horrible game, play a good game, play a horrible game. And so we'll see if they can put two good games back to back here. And if that were the case, I think they could be interesting there for Kansas City. So dog or pass situation for me, but like I said, not in the old account.